Hi, Scrappers. I'm going to try to create a step-by-step demonstration on how to do a layout in Cricut Design Space. I'd like to keep the video 7 minutes or less, so I'm going to be going pretty quick. Hopefully you guys are able to follow along and understand what I'm doing. So of course I open my Design Space. I start a new project, and the very first thing I always do is I kind of create my canvas to anchor my layout to. So using the Shapes button on the left, I go ahead and I hit a square. I resize it to a 12 by 12 inch shape, and then I reduce my screen to 50% so that I can see the entire double page layout. I go ahead and duplicate the second square. So right now I'm looking at a double page 12 by 12 inch scrapbook layout. So the next thing I do is I have in mind what I want to create, and I'm going to make the back to school pages that I've already linked to our Facebook page. So the first thing I'm going to do is create images. So I click on the image button, and I'm just going to simply type in the word back to school and grab the title that I really liked, which I'm not seeing right offhand. Come on, there it is. I'm going to insert that, and then there's a schoolhouse that I really liked also. If I know what items I'm going to use right away, I'll just insert them all at the same time. I'm going to type in the word school, the schoolhouse that I really liked. There it is. And then I like a bus. I like the front-facing view of the bus. There that is. And then books. There it is. Crayon. There's the crayon. Right now, because I'm sharing this link with everybody, I try to stick to images that are in using a subscription to Cricut Access, and this A button here means it's a item that's only available if you buy a subscription to Cricut Access. This here, if it doesn't have the A, it'll usually have a dollar amount on it, and when you go to cut out, you're going to have to pay that 99 cents first. If there's an item that I own, right here, for example, this item says I've purchased it. So it's a image that is on a cartridge that I've linked to Cricut Design Space. And if you go to the little information button here, it tells you what cartridge it comes from. All right, so that's just a quick explanation there. I think I need a glue bottle. I need to add that crayon. I need a glue bottle, so glue. There it is. Scissors. And again, I'm looking for subscription in Cricut Access so that if you guys decide to use the link, it won't cost you anything except for your subscription. And then last but not least, I want to use a overlay, but I want one that's already created for me. So I know Cricut has a cartridge called Edge to Edge. So what I'm going to do is click on cartridges, and once I'm there, I'm going to just type in a few letters, EDGE, Edge there, and then I'm going to go look, and there's Edge to Edge right there. And these are all the cartridges that are available on Edge to Edge. Again, this is a Cricut Access file or cartridge, So even though I don't own this, I get all of these images for free. So I'm just going to go down and look for the school layout. There it is. And now I'm going to insert all of the images that I selected. All right, so you'll see them all here, and I'm just going to move them off my canvas, except for that one, and get ready to start my layout. I knew what items I wanted, so it would cut down on some of the recording time, but sometimes I'll just start putting together a page and then I'll just start looking for items, which can take a little longer. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stretch my layout or my overlay. Right now it's sitting at 3.111 inches. It's perfectly squared. Cricut will only, your machine will only cut out 11.5 inches. So there is no way for me to cut out a 12-inch overlay. So keeping that in mind, I'm going to change the dimensions, keeping it perfectly square, to 11.5. So that means my machine should be able to cut it out. I'm going to go ahead and just put this also on the other side of my layout. So I'll just hit the duplicate button and then drag it over and drop it. And there you go. Now, a lot of the time people ask me, hey, I'm going to cut this out, but it says the image is too large. And that's because, just like I said, Cricut will not cut out a 12-inch piece of paper. If you're having to use a 12-inch item, then it's 12 by 12-inch paper, so you don't need to cut it out. It's just helping me visually set up my layout. So when you go to cut this link or this file, you'll have to go ahead and delete the 12 by 12-inch pages. And that's just simply highlighting it and hit your X button and they go away, but everything will still be on top of it so that you can cut out all of the images so you can lay out your page. So just a little extra something there. All right, so now that I'm here, I'm going to start changing my colors a little bit. I have all these colors on my palette, and I really like the back to school palette that they're using in this image right here. So I'm going to center all of my colors around this palette. Now, you can cut out whatever colors you want. Just because I use these colors doesn't mean that's what you have to cut out. Of course, you can use anything you want. You can use pattern paper. It's yours. So whatever you want it to look like, that's what it'll be. So that's kind of the other cool thing about it too, is you can use whatever colors you want. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is, since I'm anchoring my pages, I'm going to change the color of those. So the first thing I do is I really like the blue. So I'm going to change the 12 by 12 inch, if I can get it highlighted, 12 by 12 inch colors or pages to this teal like blue. And I'll show you how I did that here in just a second. So now here's the overlay. The purple and the teal don't look good together, and I'm going to change that to red. So simply click on the item, go to the right, see the little circle, which is the color palette. It opens up, and these are all the colors that are in my project right now. And they come from these colors down here. And at the end, when everything's done, I'm going to sync all my colors together so that I won't have like 80 pieces of paper that I have to switch in order to cut out all the images. All right, so liking how that looks right now. Next thing I'm going to do is just simply start placing my items. Now you see how the schoolhouse goes behind my overlay. I need to change that and bring it to the front. So I'm going to hit my arrange button and move my item to the front. And then I can resize it however big I want it. And I think that looks pretty good there. Then I'm going to go ahead and anchor another item here just to give it some visual display. Again, I'm going to arrange it and move it to the front, and then I'm going to resize it. So I'm making it a little smaller. Now remember, our view here is at 50%. So even though these look really small, it's really a 2-inch item. Once we cut it out, you'll see how big these actually are. I'll show you at the end. We can go up to 100%, which is the regular view of our layout. Right now, I'm just having it at 50% so that I can see everything on the page at one time. Moving my bus, and I'm going to go ahead and real quick move it to the front and then make it a little smaller so it's in proportion. Needs to be a little bit smaller. Don't like going much smaller than 2 inches when you have these intricate cuts. You know, the bus is a little more intricate just with the extra windows and the lettering. So I want to try to keep it at least 2 inches. Move this over a little more. Again, this isn't, this will, you know, this is just me and helping me with my visual learning style, which is how I learn best or how I determine things best. And so to me, it's just helping me see the whole layout before I complete it. I'm not liking the color of the red, so I'm going to change the red real quick. See if that changes this. No, it doesn't. All right, I'll use back to school here in a second. All right, so now if I just put the back to school up here and put it, arrange it and move it to the front, you know, it really gets lost in the overlay. So I'm going to go ahead and create some bordered paper so that it won't be so lost. So I open up shapes. There's my square. I'm going to unlock the proportion button and then drag it over the words back to school. And once I do that, I'm going to move it down here just so that I can have a better look at it. All right. I need to move that item to the front. Arrange back to school to the front. That looks pretty good. I'm going to change the color to white. That helps that a lot. And then I still think it needs another border. So I'm going to create another rectangle. I clicked on the original rectangle and now I'm hitting the duplicate button. I'm going to change that to that teal color that I'm using. Now here's a nice trick. Again, I'm going to go ahead and unlock the proportion button, move it over and down to give it a little bit of a border. Now I'll go to the arrange button, and this time I'm going to send that blue piece of paper to the very back. And then that way I can play with the white and make it look pretty good. Good. So I'm ready to move this up onto my 12-inch layout. But first I'm going to go ahead and group this all together so I can move it as one solid piece. So one solid piece, moving it up to the upper left-hand corner. And I'm just going to leave it like that. Of course, I can stretch it or manipulate it to how I want it to look after I get more of the items put on. All right. Still not liking that red. Let's see if I can get rid of it. All right, we'll go to the color sync. And I like the red in the schoolhouse better. So I am going to move up my two overlays. Oh, there we go. Look at that beautiful red. That's what I wanted. In the schoolhouse, I might change to the other red. Haha, that looks better. Apple, I'm going to change to the other red too. Much better. Okay, happier now. Those little things sometimes just get to me. Okay, so the next thing I need to do is go ahead and make some mats so that I can lay out my 4x6 and 3x5 pictures. So I go back over to my shapes button. I pick the square. I just kind of move it to where I need it to be. I'm going to unlock my proportion key. Go ahead and change the sizing. I'm going to hit 4.5 and for the width and 6.5 for the height. Then I'm going to change the color to the teal because I like that teal. Then I'm going to duplicate that again, but this time I'm going to change the size to 4x6. So I have that highlighted. I go change, I unlock the proportion key. I change the dimensions to 4x6. And then I'm going to go ahead and change the color to white. And then there is my photo mat that I like a lot. Okay. You know what? The 6.5 is too big. I'm going to go 4.25. Let's do that. Make sure it's unlocked. Yeah. 2.5 and 6.25. All right. Yeah, that's a lot better. All right. Now, I'm not going to make that into one piece because that's where it's going to stay. So the next thing I'm going to do is do now another photo map. And there's my square again. The reason I'm creating a whole nother image instead of just cut and pasting and turning, I found that it kind of distorts the size or the mat a little bit if you turn it. And so to keep it easier for the Cricut to cut, I just start with a fresh new shape every time. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is unlock the proportion key, change my mat to 6.25 and 4.25. Go ahead and change the color. Move it over to where I want. Hit the duplicate key. There's my new mat. Just taking off the 0.25. And then change the color to white. And there's my new mat. Not sure if I like the white, the blue. So maybe I'll go to black. What's black look like? Black looks better. It just seems like it's more highlighted. I'm going to do that for all of it. No, I'm not. I'm going to go back to blue. Sorry. That's the thing about scrapbooking is you can change your mind as much as you want. I know I'm fussing with the colors a lot, but it just feels better if I have it looking the way I want it to look before I start cutting. I mean, I may change everything. Oh, I still don't like it. I may change the colors when I go to cut out. I don't want it so bright. That's better. All right. So I changed the color of my 12 by 12 mat. There we go. Okay, that helps a little bit. Okay. Then the next thing I'm going to do is create one more mat, and I'm going to use it for the year for back to school. So this time I can hit the proportion lock. I'll go ahead and turn it off. I'll make it a little bit of a fatter rectangle. Change the color. Making me work harder. Oops, don't want to do that. I am color syncing right now, and I tell you what, I love the color syncing function. It's so nice, and it really can help keep your paper waste to a minimum if you're able to combine colors or images with some of the colors that you're using. Okay, so there's my border that I'm creating for the year 2017. I just made a duplicate border. I'm going to change that color to white. So, and then I'm going to unlock the proportion key and then make it smaller to border. And that looks pretty good. Next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and play with this back to school. I want it to be a little longer, so it takes up a little bit more of that page. All right, looking better. Okay, now I'm going to put in a text, the word or the numbers 2017. There's what it looks like. I'm going to move it to this piece here, unlock the proportion key, stretch it, make it look like I want. And now I can change the text font that I'm using. I'm going to go to Plantin School Book. I really like the roly-poly. It'll be too big, and so I'll just resize it real quick. Make sure the proportion lock is off, and then just put it right there. I try to remember to lock it at the proportion button after I'm done resizing, so I don't accidentally resize it. But your back button will always correct whatever mistake you made. Okay, that looks pretty good. So now I'm going to create my mat for over in here. So again, using my shapes key and my square, I'm going to bring it over and unlock the proportion button. Stretch it out all the way over 12 inches. Now remember what I said, Cricut does not cut out a 12-inch item. So if there's 12-inch items on my layouts, they're always just squares or rectangles. Just use your cutter. You know, you don't even make Cricut do it. Just use the cutter and cut a 12-inch strip. It is just for informational purposes, you know, only. All right. So I like how that looks. I'll bring it down just an tidge there. I'm going to change the color to my blue, and that's not the blue I'm using, but I'll color sync it in a second. Oh, there it is. All right. Then I'm going to make the two mats that are going to go on it. So again, my square on my shapes, drag it over, hit my proportion button. I want to keep it to about a 6-inch shape, maybe 6 by 6. See what it looks like here. It's 4 by 5. Let's go 6. 6 is a little big. How about 5.5? Better. And we're going to unlock the proportion 5.5. So now I have pretty decent size photo mat. Change the color to white. This time I can just go ahead and duplicate it because I'm not changing the direction of the square. All right, now do you see how the mat is hiding my schoolhouse? I'm going to correct that here in just a second. Might change the size of this. I'm going to go over to the left. Change the size of this border here to just a little smaller so that it'll fit my page. Proportion key is off. There, I like that. Okay, so click on my schoolhouse, arrange, bring to the front. My books are a little behind too, so I'm going to bring those on top. So I click the books, activate it, go to the range, bring those to front, move my schoolhouse back over. My bus looks good, my schoolhouse looks good. Oops, my bus needs to come to front. So I'll do that real quick too. Okay. And of course, you don't have to do that. I mean, it's just for visual purposes. So you can do whatever you want. You can leave it, you know, lined up any way you want. It's not going to cut that way. Again, I'm just a visual learner. So I like seeing it before I cut it so I know what I have. Okay, so now all I have left to do is I'm going to create 3 circles. One, I'm going to duplicate them so they automatically always come out as a 3.111 inch item. So I'm going to make it to a 3-inch item. I'm going to change the color. Don't know why it's not giving me the blue that I want, but it's okay. We'll just click and drag and go down. Maybe it's not wanting to work with me. There we go. All right, so now that I know I'm going to have 3 of these circles, I'm going to just duplicate them right now. Spread them out. Make them look even there. That looks pretty good. Okay, I'm going to duplicate one more time, but now I'm going to change it to white. And then I'm going to turn off the proportion key, unlock it. So it gives a nice little border to each of my circles. Duplicate it twice, move them to where they're supposed to go. And now I have 3 little circles for my 3 elements. Move my glue. Let's move the glue over to the last one. Okay, and it's all the way behind that, so I'll hit the arrange, bring it to the front, and then I'm going to make it about 2 inches. I'm going to change the colors to match the other blues. Maybe even a green. No, maybe a yellow. Green's fine. Nope, yellow. Okay. And then my crayon. That circle's a little off. See, it's silly, but it just bothers me when it's like that. Okay. There's the crayon. It's going to be behind. Hit the arrange, bring it to the front. Proportion your crayon. It's okay if it goes over a little. I like that look. There's that. I don't know if I want to leave it green. Yeah, I'll leave it green. Scissors, last item. Move it up. Arrange to the front. Proportion to your circle. Might go this way. Off there. Oh, that looks too much like the other. Why aren't you working with me? All right, and now I'm going to change the scissor color to red. Nope, this red. Okay, so there's the finished layout. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. There's room for journaling down here if you wanted to put another, blank box, or you can make sure that your picture, since this is a 5 by 5, 5.5 by 5.5, maybe use a smaller picture. You could put a ribbon on it. We go to images, go to tag. One of my favorite tags to use is a free one, and it's this one. Insert, bring it down so I see what it's doing. Okay, I'm just turning to manipulate it. I'm going to ungroup my image to take off the layer that I don't want. Well, I like this better. So I'm going to take off this one. I'm going to make this the color, the blue. And then, we can create a little tag for our paper. I'm going to arrange that to the front. Move it down just a tidge to see what's behind it. Arrange the white to the front. Arrange this white to the front. I know it seems like a lot once you do a little modification, but it's worth it. Okay, move this back up a little. All right. Move my schoolhouse back. Gotta do all three of those things again. And yes, it gets pretty tedious, but it's just, I like those finishing touches on it. Move my books to the front. Okay. And I'm gonna move this little tag shape thing up and then change it to black. I like that. I don't know if I like it there so much. Wonder what it would look like up here. And then we'd move this down a little more. Let's do that. Yeah, I like it. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna stop playing with it so that we have it all ready to go. So after it's all created, everything is on it that I want, I'm gonna go up to the save button and then I'm gonna name it. I already have it named under back to school. I've created this layout already, so I knew what I was doing to help you guys. So I'm gonna call it back to school YouTube. And then because I used all of the shapes and images that were included in the Cricut Access subscription and none of just my purchased images, it is a public link. That means I can share my link with all of you. So I'm going to save it. And then in the address bar right here, there's the link that I can create and cut and paste into the discussion on my Facebook page or our Facebook page for the scrapbooking layouts. And that's where you would click to go and it would bring you exactly to this page. And then what you would do is if you wanted this page, if you wanted to save it, you could down or save it to your project files and cut it out at whenever you wanted. Or if you were ready to cut out, you could cut it out right away and not worrying about saving it. So, okay, hopefully that helps. It ran longer than 7 minutes. I have a pretty short attention span and I try to keep the videos short just because that's how we learn best. But unfortunately, I don't think there's a short way to do this one. So hope this helped. You can get as creative or as basic as you want with your layouts. The cool thing is once you create it, it's yours forever. And I would love to see your examples. So happy scrapping, everyone. Thank you again for being part of our Facebook group. And I will talk to you later. Thank you.